Hello, hello, hello. My goodness. Qooligan, the ayahuasca, the frog poison. Episode 15. Wow.
I'm still coming down, baby.
Still coming down as well.
It is. It's not enough coffee.
It's not enough coffee. So anyway, good morning. We've shifted recording schedules a little bit because we decided we wanted to stay up late. Well, one of us wanted to stay up late and watch all of the lake fixtures as well. Obviously, that man there, the Qooligan with the ayahuasca and the frog poison. This is episode 15,
Toxin.
FIFA Club World Cup.
Toxin. We prefer the word toxin because
frog toxin.
Poison has such a negative connotation. Toxin isn't much better, but toxin can also be very positive.
Well, okay, a frog toxin. Well, whatever it is, you seem to have found something special. So, as always, everyone, just a quick sort of shout out, hooligan-soccer.com, where you can get all of your Club World Cup news as well, writings from myself, Gary Striker, the Qooligan, obviously some special guests as well coming in there. It is getting spicy and hot. This Club World Cup is getting exciting. So, Qooligan, I think there's only one place to start. So just to confirm.
There is only one place. Yeah.
In our last episode 14, you said you think there's a dark universe where Al Hilal can beat Manchester City. And I said, you are taking ayahuasca. You are out of your absolute tree. This is just bonkers, crazy talk. Yeah. And it happened. It happened. You suddenly found a secret to the universe.
Now, Gary? Who's crazy now?
The difference between insanity and genius is measured only by success, isn't it? Yes.
Well, in that case, I'm the goddamn most successful person ever. No. And I wrote an article about it too, and I actually outlined steps that needed to be taken for them to win. And I am extraordinarily pleased to report that almost none of those steps that I outlined needed to come true, except one: the vicious counterstrike, the transitional attack by Malcolm in the 52nd minute. Broke City. That was the goal, in my opinion, that broke City.
Yep.
There, he receives the ball 10 yards deep in his own half, runs the entire length of the field. Nobody can catch him. And he puts in the picture perfect, side-footed left foot pass into the corner. And that was it. At that moment, I went, we've got something here. This is a game with a capital GAME. And I was right.
Yeah.
And I'm actually happy that it went into extra time. For most of the time, extra time, I'm like, I'd prefer the game. This was a game that deserved to go to extra time. If only to stretch out the agony and the ecstasy at the same time, because it really was a tale of both happening. You could see on the faces of the players that they were playing this game and recognizing that they were making history. Really, it just even, and I hate players that take off their shirts. All right. Just can't. I mean, it's silly, it's unnecessary, and it gets you a yellow card that Leonardo deserved to show off his tattoos. Okay, his tats needed to be seen. That was just everything about what happened out there was it was special. And I don't want to get into the cynicism of it. I don't want to get into, oh my God, we're talking about a Saudi club and an oil sponsored gigantic mega, machine, all that. This was just 11 players plus 6 substitutes, right? Who came on and literally gave it everything they had. And even Florida couldn't ruin it by throwing a thunderstorm at them. Thank you, Florida.
Yeah, well, Florida is a special place. We all know that.
I don't know. I could, Gary, you don't have to say a word. I'm going to talk for the rest of this podcast because I saw it. All right. And I could talk for 45 minutes just about what happened out there. But I got to say this. If you saw it, you will never forget it. And if you didn't, shame on you, because and I somewhere in the midst of the second half, I started texting almost everybody that I knew saying, "Are you watching the game? Are you watching the game? Are you watching?" Because all of my social feeds were silent. I'm like, why is nobody commenting? Why is nobody commenting on this game? And I had one person come back and said, "Why would I? I'm not." And somebody actually had the decency to reply back to me and says, "No, of course I'm not watching it. Why would I?
Why would I?"
And I said,
And then,
"Turn it on."
Yeah. Oh.
And the next thing I know, I get, "Oh crap!" Like, thank you.
Yeah. It's, I mean, even just looking at the statistics, Manchester City dominated all the statistics, and it goes back to that old adage that we keep coming back to: is the statistics don't always give the full picture as well, and they don't account.
Yeah, damn lies and statistics.
The statistics can be deceiving as well, can't they? They really can. And I really like your point, which is it was 11 players going up against 11 players, and what I really liked about this is they didn't sort of feel intimidated. They didn't. And Al Hilal, if you look through sort of how they've sort of gone through, they drew against Real Madrid as well. So they probably had some wind in their sails and confidence as well. And they did not, their head didn't go down once that early Man City goal went in as well, because you could see, oh, here it comes. There's a PSG, there's an Auckland style sort of, Auckland style sort of like, collapse, but they held it, they fought, they held it together. And also as well, Man City also looked a little bit leggy, admittedly, but again, I think the weather factor maybe played a little bit as well with the humidity and the heat and obviously those kind of things. But that's the conditions, and they all have to play in the same conditions. So
it didn't stop Doku. Did you see that kid was running all over the field?
They wanted it
everywhere.
They wanted it, and this is they really wanted it. Yeah.
Every substitution that Pep made was an attacking substitution. He put on fresh legs. By the time that whistle blew, there were 4 players on that field that had played less than 30 minutes. That is not the sign of a manager who's calling it in. Oh no, he went in.
He went for it.
He put Foden in. He put Cherki in. He put Marmoush in. He took all the tired guys out. He put all the young, fresh legs in, and it didn't work.
And it didn't. They just couldn't get over.
It didn't work. And I have never seen Pep more gracious at a post-game interview that I did in this one. And I think it was legitimate. I think he was legitimately impressed with because listen, Pep can be a dick when he loses. He really can, right?
Oh yeah,
he is not a gracious loser.
But that's why he's such a great winner, because he hates losing more than he probably loves winning, right?
Can sometimes be he can sometimes be an asshole winner too, but there was absolutely zero sense of mendacity in him. He looked shell-shocked, and he said, "Fair play to them.
We got beaten. We got beaten. Yeah,
we got beaten." And there is really nothing better than that acknowledgement. And Bernardo Silva said the same thing. He says, "Listen, I know a lot of these players. Some of them are friends of mine. Let's not forget João Cancelo, who plays for them, was a Man City guy. Right? He got cut from Man City, went off to pursue time. Well, he got his time.
Yeah,
got his revenge. well done, Cancelo.
Yeah, Cancelo was there as well.
Now, and so, and really, for the tournament, Gary, I think this will be that defining moment. And okay, just one thing. I am going to go a slight into. Did you notice at the beginning of well, of course you didn't, because you didn't watch the game. At the beginning of the game, they flashed to the VIP area where, of course, Infantino sits in his glory, never smiling, never doing much of anything except looking, slightly befuddled and bored. And he's there. And there was a shake up in the VIP area. And since I'm not too familiar with the patterning on the headdresses, I can't tell you where he was from, although I am assuming that he was Saudi. Was sitting, and there was an individual sitting in between them. Again, I could not recognize who that was. As the game progressed, the sheikh switched sides.
Closer to Gianni.
Right next to Infantino.
Gianni,
and then by the end of the game, the sheikh was gone and out of the picture. And
he was crying apparently.
Oh, I'm sure he was running down the field saying, waving his Prince pass and saying, "Hey, get me on the field," because So it was an odd little dynamic that I noticed in the game as well. Sort of the political game within the game, as you say.
And there's the cultural side of it as well. I remember do you remember in the World Cup in 22 in Qatar when Saudi beat Argentina. I don't know if you remember that. They kind of shocked Argentina in the first game and they
because
won.
there was a player on the pitch for Al Hilal. Well, actually, no, he was not on the pitch because he was out and injured.
Okay.
Salem Al-Dosari.
Al-Dosari, okay.
That's it. Al Hilal did this without their leading scorer.
Yep, they did.
Al-Dosari has been their most dangerous player the entire season. He's sitting in somewhere like I know he's got double-digit goals, double-digit assists, but combined, there's something like 35, 36 of them. And he wasn't there. And they didn't need him.
They got through. They got through. But to the point though, that sort of the president of Al Hilal, again, the Saudi example as well in the World Cup, they all got Rolls Royces. They all got Rolls Royce Phantoms as a sort of bonus and a gift as well. These guys are all getting, who got these guys. These guys, they're all getting Rolls Royces and then some as well, just as a thank you bonus as well, right? It's gonna be special. And so
just amazing, absolutely amazing.
It was a real testament to sort of willpower, belief, and determination, and absolutely just not giving up as well. And I as you say, I decided not to watch this game because I had some family commitments. But Simeone Inzaghi, new manager, so he must have come in and sort of moved some tactics around. So I'm curious to understand sort of a little bit about the tactics.
They actually, for the first time in this tournament, played a 5-4-1. They basically started out with a low block.
Packed the midfield and just
low block, mind you. So they had three core center defenders. They had three core center defenders, and then they had 6 midfielders basically forming, a bracket around them, and then Leonardo up top. And that's how they played.
They just blocked the midfield.
But every single one of those outside wingbacks and or midfielders was pacey and new. And here's the thing: the entire game, City conceded the outside. I can't tell you how many times Al Hilal was able to do a full field switch to a completely wide open Al Hilal player.
And with that pace,
they chose to core. They chose to basically plug that central core and concede the outside, thinking, "All right, we got this." Well, they did got that until they didn't, right? And that was the thing. The goals set right, set piece. Breakaway, and then I think 2 more set pieces. I have to go back, right? And it's like that break. Like I said, that breakaway was the one that did it. But then of course that header, they didn't know who's not marking a 6'3",
Bali, right? Yeah,
Senegalese, center back who's got who knows how to do this shit. Okay,
yeah.
And he was essentially on Ake at the last minute said, "Oh crap, I really got to get on this guy." He was too late.
Yeah, and they did it.
Okay.
Wow.
I just
this. Would you say this tournament has exploded? Because we were saying this in the last episode as well. Is it just wouldn't feel right if all the European teams just got through and it became like a sort of another flavor of the Champions League in a way. And
it didn't happen. It's not happening that way, is it?
It's taken another turn, and again, I will say, it suddenly made this tournament a lot more interesting and a lot more exciting. Because it's not just European teams dominating as well. And then of course, I mean, we completely forgotten to even discuss Simeone Inzaghi's other team, the Champions League finalist who failed, came second in Serie A, Fluminense. I mean,
this is another story. I could go on, maybe not for 45 minutes, but I could go on at length about this one too, because another great story. Not nearly the same type of David v. Goliath, scenario here, but still a tale of 2 confederations with very different approaches, very different styles, coming together on the pitch, not for dominance, not for this, not for that. I don't want to get hyperbolic about it, but just to see who could emerge victorious. And the amazing thing about the Fluminense Inter game was I call it the game of threes. Why? Because Fluminense scored the 3rd minute and they scored the 3rd minute of stoppage time. They bookended that game with 2 moments with 2 beautiful, brilliant moments that kind of encapsulated what I consider to be Inter's problem. Well, the commentators were making a joke about how everybody was saying that Inter is going to come into this game and they're going to park the bus and then they're going to go for that counter. They're going to try and get, you know, and they're going to try and get Lautaro Martinez to do their thing. Play classic Italian, you know, defense counterball. And the joke that they said was, but they forgot to tell the Inter Milan players was to get off the bus because they looked like they were asleep.
They were not up for it.
And Fluminense comes in, like everybody stood around and watched that ball deflect, going, "Oh, okay." And listen, I'm not going to blame Sommer for not taking any action on it because he could not see the physics of the ball where he was, and he had a defender up front, he had an attacker up front, and he's thinking that guy's going to try and make a play, so he can't commit in. He gets stuck on his line. And then Kano comes out of nowhere. I mean, this guy just flies through the air and puts it right between his legs. That's embarrassing for Sommer, but I don't think he can be blamed. It's just in general, it was like an absolute malaise, a lethargy settled upon Milan. And they're just like, oh.
Yeah.
And nobody got to the espresso fast enough.
They couldn't get going here. They couldn't get going. I do want to shout out as well. Fluminense's goalkeeper Fabio had a fantastic game. 44 years old.
44-year-old on the field.
44 years old. 44. And then he's got a 40-year-old Thiago Silva in front of him as well. So yeah, 84 years combined.
That's legit. That's a legit 40. 84 years old and two players right there.
That's experience, right? And experience.
That's my age.
Yeah, exactly. 84 years of age. Yeah, that is incredible.
And you should see me play, kids.
Well, that's why you referee, perhaps, as well, right?
That's why you referee, yes.
Indeed.
Sadly, depending on who you ask.
So now what this does in terms of the brackets, it shakes it all up. Now, as a Chelsea fan, I'm licking my lips here and thinking Chelsea could quite conceivably get to the final. And now I'm not saying they're going to, but I mean, obviously they've got Palmeiras to get through first, and then obviously the winner of Fluminense against Al Hilal. But all of those four teams on that side of the bracket will be looking at this and saying, all of them will genuinely believe that they can get through. They will say, all of them will believe on their day, the way they played against Man City, by the way, Al Hilal and Fluminense pushed aside Inter and Man City. They'll say, bring on Chelsea. We can take them on as well. So it will be an exciting side of that bracket as well. And then, of course, there could conceivably be an all-Brazilian semi-final again of Palmeiras against Fluminense.
Wouldn't that be a story? I mean, I think just by that, because that means that there would be a Brazilian team in the final. Right. So yeah, it could be that way. And I think that from the FIFA mindset, that would be the best thing ever, right? Because those one thing I failed to mention. Did you hear One Man City chant? No, you of course. Forgot you didn't watch the game.
I did watch the game again. I did watch the game afterwards, but yes, I did.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. Nothing. I mean, when you're listening to that game, all you're hearing Saudis.
They were up for it, yeah. Yep.
Saudis chanting at a football game for their club.
Yep.
We heard Devin say it when he was a guest on our show. Devin, come back. It's because Man City doesn't have, right? They don't have
the passion and the fans
supporters.
As well. They wouldn't have had many traveling fans.
They don't have supporters. They have consumers. And I think that's a very interesting point, right? They're fan and listen, I'm not trying to dismiss the local Manchester crowd that do support their team, because when they play at home, there's a local contingent that really does support the blue, and they come out and they do it. But they're not traveling internationally. Almost everybody there, they're followers. They're travelers, right?
They're local fans. Yeah.
They're people who own the kit, but don't own the heart.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? They're not
as
out
you say,
there.
They're not fans. There's not many. How many Al Hilal fans are inside the US as well? Well, I wouldn't say that many. There's the travelers, right?
Not many, but they can certainly afford to fly there.
Yeah. They certainly can.
Right.
They certainly can. Yeah.
Can you imagine how many flights they must have had to travel from Riyadh and Riyadh and Dubai and all the other areas to Miami
to get to Miami? I'm sure there's a direct flight. I'm sure Emirates and Qatar have.
But they must have had all kinds of charters going in. That airport must have been like the ATC controllers were like, what the hell's going on? This is supposed to be a chill night on Monday as everybody's flying in, right? No.
Yeah, it's true. And then I mean, it is fair to say, I think the English clubs don't seem to have much representation. That is for, I mean, even the Chelsea games as well, there has not been much. And again, as you say, they're probably more locally based. I don't think there's a huge contingent of Chelsea fans flying from London or flying from the UK to come support them as well. We'll see if they get to the semi-final.
But even now, I don't know. I mean, again, these tickets are expensive, right? I mean, this is a pricey trip. So
yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so Qooligan. So that wraps up that side of the bracket. And then moving forward, we have some interesting games today before another little break until things pick up on Wednesday, on Wednesday and Thursday, on Tuesday and Wednesday this coming week. We have Real Madrid against Juventus, which I am fortunate to say I will be attending. After this, I'm going to be zipping down to Hard Rock Stadium once again. It's been, I think this will be my 5th game as well, which it's been a fantastic stadium, a fantastic venue. This game is going to be an interesting one now. Juve
I agree.
against Real. This one's going to be a good one because this is a Champions League final all over again. This has been a Champions League final in the past. I know Real Madrid are going to be short of Mbappe. That hasn't seemed to have held them back. They've obviously got a bit of depth in terms of their attacking abilities. El Trento, let's see if he can actually sort of step up and obviously sort of deliver, because I don't think he's had the best tournament, to be perfectly honest, fitting into that system. And then there's a question of Juventus. And I have to say, Juventus are, for me, I'm actually going to go with Juventus on this one. I really do think they're going to win.
Are you really? You really? Talk to me. Why?
I really like that. Who's that young kid as well? That Keenan Yildiz. I think he is absolutely fantastic. I think he is. The reason why I'm most excited is actually to go and see him. I've seen Real Madrid already against Al Hilal and saw them draw. They didn't impress me. And again, I think Real Madrid are still just finding their way. Alonso's still got to put his fingerprints over that team and get the sort of the right sort of balance and the right way to play that he wants. Juventus are set. I know they obviously got ran over by Manchester City. That probably wasn't sort of the fairest result. And then also why I'm interested and excited to see Juventus is because of the American contingent.
Okay.
And
you think they're going to show up today? Do you genuinely think they're going to show up today?
I think. Again, look, if we look back on our sort of previous yesterday's predictions as well, again with the Fluminense and the Al Hilal game, I did call Fluminense against.
You did. No, absolutely, and fair play and full props to you on that one.
It wasn't that, and then I laughed at you, and then I laughed at you, and then I laughed at you when you had the Al Hilal prediction, and again, so
of course you did. I think everybody in the universe laughed at me. I laughed at me. Only half of me thought it was going to make it. I was. No, I'm not, and I think no, but yeah, still, you were right on. Okay,
well, yeah, Juve, huh? Not sort of trying to. I think Juve. I think 2-1 Juve. I was just looking at the weather as well. There do look to be some storm clouds as well. So again, I think it's also what is interesting, and we've discussed this in some of our preambles as well, is the weather factor. Not only how both teams are going to struggle, but also. These weather delays, they change the outcomes of the games. Think of that Benfica-Chelsea game. Benfica were down and out and over, and they managed to pull it back. So
they were done. They were cooked. And then they got a reprieve. Yeah.
So I'm checking the weather app in Fort Lauderdale as well. It does look like everything's going to be all clear. There's just clouds and a cool 86 degrees all the way through. So I don't think we're going to have any. But as we know, this is Florida, and the temperature can turn in a second as well. So if there is a weather delay, that could change. But my thoughts, I think 2-1 Juventus in normal time. So that's what I think. Yeah.
I love it. I think that's great.
Yeah. And then the other player I'm also really looking forward to seeing as well, and for some reason I don't know why I have a real sort of fascination with this player, is Timo Weah, the American striker who's now playing for Juve, and we all know his father, the former president of Liberia, first African Ballon d'Or winner, and
your friend from Qatar. I mean,
my friend from Qatar. For the record, I did manage to run into George Weah at one of the games and have a picture next to him as well. So so I'm a big fan of the Weah family as well. So I think Juventus. He has played. He scored a few goals as well. Yeah, Timo Weah scored.
No. In the tournament?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I believe so. Well, as we're frantically Googling and checking our statistics.
That'd be a negatory,
negative. Has he not scored? Okay. All right. Okay. Well, hopefully this will be the game to change that. Not only has he not scored,
he's only played 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he can get some time on the field as well. That would be preferential. Okay. And then your thoughts on this one?
I believe that Real Madrid's entire game rests on the shoulders of Thibaut Courtois. There are 2 goalkeepers that have really stood out statistically in this tournament. And the first of which was Bono, who Al Hilal keeper, who no jokes, averaged 6 saves a game coming into this match that played last night. He had 10 saves last night. But the second best keeper, I should say, is Thibaut Courtois. 4.7 saves per game. That's astronomically high. What does that tell you? That says that Real Madrid, that's right. That means that he is literally keeping them in it. If Courtois does not have a good night, your dream will come true, Gary.
There we go.
But it will come. It will be about. I think it's all about Courtois. Courtois
Yeah, okay.
is the factor that needs to come in, not the offense. We know Real can score. It's about Courtois. It's their defense. Can their defense hold out the Juve attack? Anyway, there's my thought.
Okay, no, that's it. Okay, so that will be the determining factor. I agree.
Now let's talk Borussia.
Juve can score. Borussia.
Let's talk Borussia. This is the biggest coin toss of the round of 16. I have absolutely no idea who could win this one.
Where are they? They are playing in Atlanta. They're going to get the inside stadium as well, so where the climate control is going to play into Borussia's favor. Yeah, so the Mexicans aren't able to sort of play into that.
This is Monterrey's first game off the West Coast, right? They've been based in the Rose Bowl the entire time, so they got to go to Atlanta. Oh, trust me, the Monterrey fans will be there in spades. Okay,
it'll be banging, that place is going
to be raucous.
Yeah,
I'm expecting lucha masks. I'm expecting all kinds of the Rayados will be there.
Yeah,
100% in full throat, and that's great. But I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, the Monterrey game that I saw against Urawa, and I admittedly I saw the highlights. It was all long ball. It was these distance shots, and that I think the keeper probably could have done better on. I certainly don't think that Borussia's. I don't think the Borussia's keeper is going to be making the same types of quote mistakes and/or errors, and would be saving most of those. So. And listen, Borussia haven't performed poorly. I mean, they've been just good enough to get through. I really genuinely do not know. I can't even really make a solid prediction other than it'll go 90 minutes with stoppage time. I mean, I'm pretty confident in that. But even then, it could go to extra time. I don't know.
It could.
I genuinely don't.
My gut tells me, and this is the same feeling that I have against Fluminense, which is absolutely based on no statistical sort of analytical sort of perspective.
Well, that's worked for you before.
It has. Well, as the saying goes, right? A broken clock is right twice a day as well, isn't it? So
that's right.
So yes, I have a feeling Monterrey will just edge this one. Even sort of it'll go to penalties, and I think they'll be able to get through. And just think about that.
Okay, that makes sense. That actually makes some sense.
If they do get through, just think about this from the tournament's perspective. You will have 4 different confederations have team representation in the quarterfinals, which will be, I think, a very, very good thing for this tournament. Obviously, you've still got Chelsea from the UEFA, obviously the 2 Brazilian teams, Al Hilal, obviously the Europeans as well, and then if you can have the South American, or is it the CONCACAF?
CONCACAF, AFC,
CONCACAF,
UEFA.
Yeah,
there's your 4.
That would be a win.
That would
for
be
this
a win.
tournament. That would be a win, and then it comes down to style, as I say, and it really does talk about sort of the styles. And for me, I think the Brazilians have not shocked the most, but sort of been comfortably sort of able to get through to the quarterfinals as well. And again, as we discussed before, it's not about players adapting to styles. It's now a clash of styles, right? Can the Brazilian style against the European style? And so we're going to find out, and
we're going to see just how dirty Sergio Ramos can get.
I hope he keeps his head together, he gets through, and he doesn't get suspended, because he's I was watching with my son the other night.
That's true. I forgot, because yes, the card accumulation is now a factor.
Card accumulation. This is tournament football. Yes. This is when you play tournament soccer. These kind of things really. And again, as you say, stupid little things like if he scores a winning goal in the 90th minute and takes his shirt off and shows his abs and his tattoos and gets a yellow card and misses the next game, like it's these little minor attention details that really do hurt you in the long run in this tournament football. So yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Anyway, Qooligan, as always, I think that brings us up on time. Again, so you're obviously going to save your ayahuasca for your next round of predictions as well for the semis and see who gets into those. But you called it. I have to say that was a big call. We're going to have to ask the soccer sharps what kind of money line you would have got for that one.
Some people made a lot of money. Some people made a lot of money. Not a lot of people, but there are people who made money. They were probably putting down, you know, penny ante bets on the win. There were probably some people who put penny ante bets on the, you know, on the cumulative score lines. Either way, I'm sure it had to be paying out.
Yeah. Oh,
big time.
We'll have to check out, but that was a big one. Wonderful. All right, Qooligan. Well, I'm off to Fort Lauderdale to go and see this Juve Real game. Until
enjoy.
next time. All right. Take care. Thank you.
Peace.